If you're new here, my name is Laura. If this isn't your first time here, welcome back. I also go by my handle, Lord Conda. I am a cozy author and I also draw. So I'm working on a historical fantasy novel called Courage and Ambition. It's a 5-novel series and I have book 1 in editing and book 2 is being drafted right now. And it's a 5-book series, and I know that because of my 3-tier writing system that I'll be talking about in this video. So I actually have this system where my books are both plotted and they're not. So I'll explain that in a little bit more detail, and maybe it'll make more sense after the video. If you're someone who's not sure, like you're new to writing, especially like me, and you're not really sure what camp you fit best into, this could be a really useful tool for you to figure out how you could combine the plotter and the pantser. And it's also really center out a method that I use to make sure that if I'm feeling moody, checking out Pinterest vibe boards, I can turn that into a bit of a productive endeavor. So I hope you'll stick around, find out more. Please subscribe if you like. If you found anything in this video really interesting or you want to share methods that have worked for you, I hope that you'll share them in the comments. I would love to hear about them. I'd love to hear about your work in progress, whether it's a novel or a graphic series or whatever have you. Like, you have an Instagram with just a bunch of your original characters and lore, like whatever it is, I'd love to hear about it. Please share in the comments. And without further ado, we'll get into how I plot how I plot and pants, how I write as an aspiring one day soon to be published author, how I write using a 3-tier plotting system. So let's get into it. Riding on my wave. I'll be on my way. All right, welcome to the Courage and Ambition Notion homepage. This is where I maintain all of my thoughts, kind of in one place for the book. I keep the homepage pretty much a short landing page, just easy, condensed. Things like artwork of mine, as well as go away. Status of the books, some quotes that I think have a lot to do with the series. And I also have some private goals. I love to use the toggles so that I can condense things. And these are pretty private, so I'm not gonna go into those, but I really like kind of at the front page when I need a little bit of why am I doing this? When I'm feeling down or something like that, I can always open the homepage and take a look at these. So we also have the 5 songs that inspire the books, or like are the most vibey with the books. So I always love to have that, and I'll share a link to this in the description if anyone's interested. But very vibey. Landing page, again, some more artwork of mine. Oh, cuties. And then over here is the index. So these are the different pages where I actually manage and keep details and all that. So I have a little tab that I started for research, which are kind of a lot of YouTube videos or not instructions, but like tips from Pinterest and things like that. My world building page where I just dropped a whole bunch of lore early on, and characters and writing. And for the purpose of this vlog, and like the point is how I tier my writing system. So we'll be focusing in the writing tab. I'm not opening world building because it's chaos, it's mass chaos, and nothing's hidden. So It's just a little spoilery. But I use the database function in Notion, and I'm a very visual person, so all of the characters, these are basically just pictures I've found on Pinterest, so I completely understand how important like Pinterest mood boards are for people, because I'm one of those people. I need the moods. I need the vibes. So, I've talked about how I use a 3-tier system, and I talked a little bit about what it means to be a planter. For me, I know the arc of my 5 books. So, my 3 tiers are broken up into the books, the parts, which are divided within those books. So, like in this instance, book 1 actually has 2 parts. Book 2, I'm looking at 4 parts. So tier 1 would be the books, tier 2 would be the parts, and then tier 3 would be my it's called chapters here, but eventually each tab is a chapter that I've written, if I've already written it, but it actually probably should be described more as like scenes, because I'll get into that in a little more detail. But for sake of simplicity, I use this system of like books, parts, and chapters. And as a planter, I actually really have nailed down the major arc of what's going to happen in each of the books. How are they going to be resolved by the main characters? What are the themes, and what do I know I need to happen? And the parts are where I break that down even further. Like, okay, part 1 is based, and many of these I just, for sake of simplicity, have them titled by the location where they will be taking place. It doesn't mean everything in there is taking place at said location, but it just helps me kind of keep track chronologically the movement through the books. So in the parts, I also have a pretty solid idea of like, how does this start, how does it end, and how does it feed into the arc of the book. And then the next step I would do is, and I, again, like copy and paste from Pinterest because I'm a vibey girl, but I create the scenes with vibes and images that I know I want to evoke the feeling of the little tiny pieces that feed into the parts. And this is where I become more of a I let the plotting go, and this is where I do more of my pantsing. Like, okay, I have an idea of like how everything is going to start and end in these parts. I definitely know like overall for the books how things are going to start and end, but this is where I get to be like a lot more have a lot more fun. And so when I'm writing my scenes, I really let myself go pantser mode and see where characters take me. And so that allows me to have a structure, but it also allows me to have freedom. And I allow myself, if the freedom in writing these chapters and writing these scenes, if that leads to something I hadn't considered that could potentially make a big shift in the part, then I'll go back and I'll update my plotter side of my brain. The hardcore themes and the hardcore start, middle, end for the books, those are probably never going to change. But for the parts, I'm open to those being changed by my writing the scenes. So we have like a funnel down system of like plotting to like planter to pantser. So this is the fun of being a planter, in my opinion. And I do think it's really important to have a structure. I could never just pants without any idea of like, what am I trying to influence overall? So This system works for me. I'm a very visual person, so I just drop Pinterest images, like I said. I do not take credit for any of these. They're just totally randomly dropped. So these are all different databases that have relationships to each other. So if I open book one, for instance, I have some critical notes. I have kind of like major themes that I want to explore. And whatever is the first image is what will populate out here. So whatever is going to be your first image is what the gallery view will pull. And then I have parts and I just filter them book one. So when I open book one, I can see only those parts. And then my scenes are also filtered for book one. So if we want to dive like further, let's say part one, just an image dropped so that I can see a visual out on the card. That's what it's called, the gallery card. And then inside are the scenes. And this particular view is not actually in chronological order, so we will ignore that. But I can see the scenes that are supposed to take place for this part one. Out here, though, I do have my scenes in chronological order, and these are all scenes that are filtered for book one. And then I also, for the scenes in particular, I put them through a sort, and I sort them which part are they. So like part one would be sorted before part two. And then the chapter number. So then the chapter number allows them to appear in chronological order. I don't add a chapter number until I've actually drafted a chapter. So these are all drafted. I've already written book one. It's in the middle of editing. So all of these have chapter numbers. And I'll go back and show you how I kind of tried to plot the scenes before I create the actual chapters. But for the sake of book one and the explanation in this, we'll go ahead and open up chapter one. I showed you earlier the characters, so I actually will put who are the characters that are in this chapter, some vibey Pinterest GIFs and pictures again. I'm very visual, very vibey, so if the pictures aren't there, I it just feels empty. I don't know why I think this way. I think I see a picture and I'm like, oh, that's like actually the mood I'm trying to capture. So I do have the idea of the scenes in my head. I don't always have the best images that align to what I'm envisioning, but there's so much on Pinterest that I'm usually able to use some good search keywords to find the vibes I'm looking for. So I'll have pictures and okay. So the short and sweet of it is that we have the books to the parts to the chapters / scenes, and they go down in terms of how much or more on a spectrum. So like the books are pretty plotted, but I haven't finished writing them, so like almost zero pantsing there. The parts are pretty much plotted, but I allow the pantsing to take over more. And then in the chapters, there's no real plotting that I'm doing, besides staying conscientious of which part these chapters fall within. These are where I can, be a complete pantser and figure out like, okay, but how do these characters get to that? how do they get to the consequences I know they want to face? And then in that journey, we find more consequences. So that's the fun part. And this is the system that works for me. Again, I hope that it helps to, you know, if this is a system that might be interesting for you, I think it works really well if you maybe aren't even sure if you're a plotter or a pantser. You think you're in between plantser. If you're super vibey like me and you get stuck on Pinterest, like I get stuck on Pinterest all the time, looking at pictures, looking at GIFs, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this fits like what I have in my head. Oh, perfectly. This is my system to use that vibey Pinteresty girl writer self and actually make it more productive. And so I think that's like the biggest takeaway is like, how can you take your moments in time being vibey with Pinterest and all that and actually like put it towards your writing goals. And I think Notion is a great way to do it because of the ability to use the database as a gallery and to turn the cards into your scenes, turn them into your chapters, and then you could go, you know, deeper if you wanted to, like I am, and tier it how that works for you. Even if it's a single book, you could have your chapters as tiers and then another sub tier of like the scenes within those chapters. Like I can't go that deep, but that might make a lot more sense for you and work for you. So I highly recommend using the Notion database gallery and just sliding the cards around. So yeah, you can in Pinterest or wherever just kind of like right click an image, click copy, and then in here you can just click you can just like paste it and it'll pop up. So highly recommend. And if you have any questions, like if you think that this is a really cool or unique system or you have thoughts about it, please share in the comments. Like tell me what your thoughts are. Is this something that you think could benefit you as a plantser? Could it benefit you as a plotter? And if you're a pantser who maybe needs a little more structure and needs to get off Pinterest, like try this out. I highly recommend it. I hope this was useful. I hope I'm not like spoiling too much of my own book, but whatever. That's where the planting is fun. Like I can show you, you know, you see the titles, you see the pictures, but like how does it happen? That's all in the books. And that's the pantsing. That's where you're gonna have the most fun. So if it's spoilery, whatever. It's not spoilery if you haven't read it yet, in my opinion. But yeah, drop in the comments your thoughts. If you think that you want to try it out, I would love to hear about like how you would develop your system in order to work for you, work for your book. And that is the end of the Notion walkthrough. So thanks for being here for it. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope that you can take away some of the lessons or like ideas, concepts from it and use it to help you with your writing and help you with your projects. So let me know if it helped, and don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram for my artwork, and I'm just like so happy you made it this far. If you made it this far, drop an emoji. Which emoji should it be? Blueberries. Thanks for being here and take care. Enjoy the spring if it's spring where you are. Enjoy sunlight when and where you can. Ciao.
Remember my past, she'd be shocked at where I'm at.